Welcome to the Azelis in Frontier Precision Field Seeker webinar. We're really excited to have all of you today. It looks like there's about 46 attendees so far. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to go through the agenda, just kind of some of the things that we're going to cover today. And then I'm going to cover a couple of things on housekeeping, just generally how to do things in GoToWebinar, and then we'll jump in. So we are going to introduce the speakers first. I'll even introduce myself in a moment. Then we're going to talk about the explanation of our new partnership. We're then going to go into which systems are compatible with Field Seeker. And finally, we're going to finish up with data import and automatic data recording. And then, I don't know why, but I forgot to include it in here. Then we are going to discuss and actually do a live demo of the Field Seeker offerings as well. So for housekeeping, if you have any questions, there should be a question box on your GoToWebinar screen. We want you to enter the questions in that box. We're going to answer everything at the end. And so as we go along, if you have a question, go ahead and throw it in there. I'll be collecting all of those questions and putting them on a slide for us to pull up at the end of the the demo. And we'll go through and answer all of those. If we don't get to your question, please know that we will follow up with you with an email separate outside of the webinar. On your GoToWebinar screen, you will also see some documents that have been uploaded. These include our FAQ to answer any common questions and some brochures about the Field Seeker offerings. We will be emailing out a link to the recording of this webinar next week. So if there's something that you want to go back and review, you will have the opportunity to do that, but we just need a little bit of time to get that recording together and posted, but you will receive a link. And then last, we do have a second webinar. It will be going over the same content that we're covering today, so it's not something that you need to attend, but you can feel free to attend if you would like. Or if there was anyone from your group that wasn't able to attend today that you would like to attend one of these, you can have them join on May 8th. Okay. Next is the speakers. Okay, so I'm Emily Booth. Sorry for just now introducing myself. I am with Azelis ANES, formerly Adapco. And I am currently a technical sales representative for the Central Midwest area. And I'm also kind of helping all of this transition from GeoTracker Pro to Frontier Precision's Field Seeker software. Next, we have Linda Glover, and she is the sales manager with Frontier Precision. And then we have Chad Mintier, and he does like all the things. Chad, I forget your exact title, but he does all the things with development and implementation. Okay, so let's talk about this new partnership. First and foremost, we at Azelis are so excited to be joining up with Frontier Precision. They are absolutely tried and true, the most robust software in the mosquito and vector control market. They have been in the field utilizing the Field Seeker systems for over 15 years. And their ULV Office Adult Deciding Extension will now be the go-to for processing and reporting data from your monitored devices, which means we're completely replacing our GeoTracker Pro software with Field Seeker ULV. With the newest version of the Field Seeker software, all existing users of the Monitor 4S and 5 systems will be able to seamlessly import their data into Field Seeker ULV. Our AccuFlow system, which we'll cover in a couple of slides, is being rebranded to Monitor Flex, also works effortlessly with the Field Seeker mobile software on the Mesa tablets to have all of the features that you could desire, such as in-field tracking, moving map display, restricted area warnings, routes, truck-mounted weather stations, and more. So the things and the main points that I want you guys to take away specifically from our new partnership are the three things that are listed on your screen. So the first one is we are actually doing away with GeoTracker Pro. That will be done at the end of this year. And so we are trying to get everyone converted from the GeoTracker Pro software over to the Field Seeker ULV Adult Deciding Extension Office software by the end of the year or early January. Like I said, Frontier Precision's Field Seeker ULV Office is replacing GeoTracker Pro. And then Azelis ANES's AccuFlow, Monitor for Us, and Monitor for Flex system integrate seamlessly with the Field Seeker ULV software, both the mobile and the office. And I'll show you kind of how that works on the next slide. Okay, so first and foremost, there's no need to panic. Your existing monitors are still gonna work. So if you have a Monitor 4S or a Monitor 5, those are still going to work in your trucks, and the data from those is still going to be able to be imported into the Field Seeker ULV Office software. So instead of using GeoTracker Pro, you would simply just open up your ULV Office and import it from the SD card like you've always done. So it should be a very seamless transition, no lapse in being able to get your data or anything like that. Okay, so the next one that I want to talk about, which is the one that I'm probably most excited about, is the integration between our technology and Field Seeker. So you'll see in the middle of the screen here, we have our Monitor Flex. This has previously been known as the AccuFlow and the Monitor 4S. We are just rebranding it, so it's all kind of going to work in the same way. And this will actually not only work with your Guardian and be able to import into the Field Seeker Office ULV, but it will also work with their mobile software. So in the truck, you would be able to have a Mesa tablet, see a moving map, do all sorts of route mapping, things like that. And Chad will talk more on that here in a few minutes. But you can do all of that in the truck, and that data is communicating from the Monitor Flex itself into the ULV mobile software that's in the truck. And so we're really excited about this. We've actually tested it in the field, and it works really well, and it looks beautiful. Okay. So the final thing that I want to mention is that we are working currently on the Monitor LT2 and LT2 or LT and LT2 data imports. So we are working, Chad and his development team are working on being able to import all of that data into the Field Seeker software. And so hopefully we'll have that on the next release of the software. But the Monitor LT is the larviciding tracker, so it's typically used within A1, and all of that should work seamlessly. And then we are also working on getting it compatible with the Field Seeker ULV mobile and the Mesa tablets. So down the road, you would be able to utilize the Mesa tablet with the Monitor LT in the truck to do everything that you could do with a moving map type apparatus inside the truck. Okay, that is it for me. Linda, I'm going to go ahead and pass the reins over to you.
Thanks, Emily. Get my screen changed here.
Awesome.
So I think you can see it now.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Again, I'm Linda Glover, and I'm the GIS Sales and Services Manager here at Frontier. And I'm going to be working with Emily and your local Azelis rep to provide the sales assistance. And I want to echo Emily's excitement about our new partnership with Azelis, and we're really excited to spend this time this morning with you all to show you the benefits of FieldSeeker. So FieldSeeker GIS for mosquito control is a complete solution for mapping and reporting integrated mosquito management plan activities. It's designed to be the hub for all important data. All the workflows are integrated so data is easily shared, analyzed, and updated throughout the organization. FieldSeeker has workflows for larviciding with storm drain treatments, surveillance, service requests. We have an optional VectorServe gateway integration. And then we have the separate Windows ULV adulticiding extension. And this will be what we're spending most of the time on this morning. We also have a separate public notification app. And FieldSeeker is based on 15 years of customer input. So we want to hear what you want in the product, and we'll do our best to implement those requests over time. One thing too, when you buy FieldSeeker software from us, it does include unlimited technical support. We want to make sure that you're successful with the products. We're here to help you in any way. So just a little bit on who Frontier is. So we're an employee-owned company with 35 years of experience offering geospatial products and services. So we have our mosquito and vector control, and we also have a sister product for invasive plant control. And then we get into a lot of GIS and survey applications. Our FieldSeeker software and also the drone systems that we offer for mosquito control are supported out of our Jerome, Idaho office, which is in southern Idaho, and also out of our Jacksonville, Florida office. So I'm located in Idaho, and Chad is located in Jacksonville, Florida. We also have a certified DJI Agris service repair center and training people here in southern Idaho as well. So you're meeting Chad and I today. We have two other full-time team members, Tyler and Chris, who will be doing the software installation and system integrations or implementations, any day-to-day support that you might need. Joey Sabello's also on our team. He usually provides drone support for us. And as far as sales activities as well. We have an ongoing formalized product roadmap for FieldSeeker, so we're planning it to continue the software into the unforeseeable future. So we do have a dedicated software development staff, and again, that's where it's important to give us input on what you want to see in the software. We're also an Esri Gold partner, which means that we keep our software development technically aligned with the Esri GIS platform. And we do have another team that supports us as far as being a dedicated GIS professional services staff. And then we do have other drone pilots on staff as well. So when you purchase FieldSeeker, it is a one-time purchase, upfront purchase, and that first year of annual support and maintenance is going to be included with the purchase. And then starting 1 year after purchase, we will invoice for additional annual maintenance and support. But we've really tried to add a lot of benefits for that annual maintenance. And again, it's that unlimited technical support to make sure that you're successful with the product. We do have a goal to have same-day response time, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time, except holidays. And we do have a formalized help desk set up so that you can enter a support ticket into the system. And we like this so that it comes into a central location so whoever's available can help you as soon as possible. So there's different ways that you can enter a support ticket, but if you log into this online support portal, we also have self-help information there, but you can set up this ticket and then we'll be in touch. Part of the benefits too for the support and maintenance is unlimited remote assistance. That's where we log into your system and take a look at the Mesa or your computer if you have a problem. Or we can also give unlimited web training. So if you need training, help training your seasonal staff or whatever, every year we can help with that. I'll show you a little bit more about this Frontier Learning Lab where you enter your support ticket in just a second. We can also give on-site training at $1,800 a day plus travel expenses. And then you're going to receive all the software updates that we typically release 2 or 3 times a year. And you'll this way you can benefit from the new feature enhancements, or these will include any bug fixes that we might need to do. So this is what our Frontier Learning Lab looks like. So you'll sign up with a username and password and log in with that. You need to log in every time, otherwise you don't have access to all the content. But when this page comes up, you just click the mosquito invasive plant button, and then you get a list of products here, and depending on which one that you want information about, like if we click the Windows ULV, it'll give you a list of the training videos that are available, any of the documentation, what we do have on the roadmap, and marketing related information. We try to do customer stories and different things like that, just so everybody's aware of how people are using the product. So there's also a section under the knowledge base that will give, or the community button, that will give you an idea of what software releases have been recently released, any announcements, or if there's any questions posted, you can just go to the all and see the list. There's an idea link. If you click that, you can see what planned enhancements might be there, and you're able to vote on it if that enhancement's important to you. And then you can also see, the status of it. And if we're working on it, that means that it's probably going to be included in the next release. So we just want to, provide different tools so that you can help yourself, or we can help you be better prepared to use the software. So now this diagram here kind of shows how the Field Seeker software fits together. First, I'm going to talk about our Field Seeker Core app, and this is based on the ArcGIS Online software, so it does require it. However, this is the workflows for larva sighting with storm drain treatment, surveillance, and service requests. So that since this product is based on ArcGIS Online, it is a cloud-based product. And so the Office web app is accessible through any device with a web browser. And then we have a cross-platform mobile app that's compatible with iOS, Android, and Windows 10. 11 devices that has all the supporting field activities. So then the information is synchronized with the Office. If you have cell data plan, this can be real time. If you don't want to use a cell data plan, or maybe you have poor cell coverage in a couple of zones and you need to use offline editing, we do support that. We do have an optional VectorServe gateway integration. More and more states are starting to use VectorServe for their surveillance information. And so some of the information has to be entered into Field Seeker and into VectorServe. So this integration option just gives a way to eliminate double entry of data. So information can get pushed from VectorServe to Field Seeker and vice versa. Since the Field Seeker software is based on the Esri platform, it gives us a way to integrate to other systems. And one way we do that is we import data from the aerial, truck, and drone spray systems. Then we have our separate Windows ULV Delta sighting extension. So that's what we're spending the time on and talking about today for replacing the GeoTracker software. So this is a standalone desktop system. So we will install software on a PC, or we can install the database on a shared server, and then you can access it with more than one PC. But it is a Windows 10, 11 system. And then the mobile device is only compatible with the Windows 10 or 11 system, and we typically supply that as far as the Mesa tablet goes. But with the Azelis sprayer systems, you know, the controllers interface with our Mesa tablet through a 9-pin serial port. So the Windows devices are what support that 9-pin connection. So that's why we have this Windows tablet. Since it is a standalone desk system that's based on OpenGIS, the Esri licensing is not required. However, we can leverage it for advanced functionality, and we'll show you a little bit of that. So whether you or your county or city already has ArcGIS Online, we can just use ArcGIS Online with some of the Windows ULV functionality. Or if you are using FieldSeeker Core or decide you want to down the future, we can integrate the two systems together. We do have a separate public notification app. We've I guess branded this app for a couple of the larger mosquito control districts in the US. And then they advertise it to their public to download the app, and that way they can push map information and announcements to them, and the public can enter service request information back through the app to the district, and it ends up back in FieldSeeker. So just a little bit more about FieldSeeker Core, and then we'll shift the whole presentation over to the FieldSeeker ULV adult sighting extension. And we're happy if you have specific interest in using FieldSeeker Core, just let us know, and we'll be happy to set up a separate private web demonstration to get into the software and answer any questions that you might have. But the FieldSeeker Core does have all the, it's an all-in-one app that has all the larva sighting, surveillance, and service requests workflows integrated together. We also have an on-truck inventory management system as part of FieldSeeker Core. So this is where you can check products out from the warehouse, put them on the truck, use it, and then check it back in. And it has reconciliation tools to help you make any adjustments that might be needed. But then we also have built-in tools for scheduling, inspection, and treatment activities. Built-in dashboard widgets. We have measure tools. There's a built-in chemical calculator that's on the mobile device to help the field crew feel confident that they're entering the correct amount of product, you know, treating with the correct amount of product. You can view work in progress. There's pop-up windows for viewing and entering data. We can get directions that are available through the phone or tablet navigation apps. You can choose between a variety of Esri base maps, and we do support picture attachments. We use the standard GIS query and search functionality, but we do have a report library that for printed reports, and you can export all this in different formats. And since we're using ArcGIS Online, there's different ways that we can share data inside and outside the organization. Some advanced features include tools for aerial, truck, and drone proposed treatment areas, barrier and ULV spray treatments, restricted areas, field scouting, Q&A inspection. And then we can also do service request integration with the FieldSeeker Windows ULV extension or the public notification app. And then we have some advanced functionality from the GIS that we can leverage that includes embedding a Esri dashboard, or we can put a web form out on your public website to collect information and bring that back into FieldSeeker, or maybe push map information to your public website. We do have tools for time and activity tracking. And then I guess most importantly, we chose the Esri platform for the basis of FieldSeeker so that you can use your own customized base maps if you're already using ArcGIS. And then this also gives a way that the system is totally configurable, so you can grow and change as your operation grows and changes. And since it is based on the Esri platform, you have full control and ownership of the system and the data. And it gives us a way to integrate to other third-party software, like maybe CityWorks is an asset management software, so any of those asset management softwares or other third-party softwares. So now on to the Windows ULV extension. Again, we have two parts: the PC Office software, where it's used to configure the system, to view the data operations. So your spray sessions are either on the map or listed in the window. And then there's different ways to report the data. The mobile functionality, if you choose to go with the Mesa tablet and then the truck cab, the driver's going to see where they're at on the screen. Green line or dots are where the sprayer's on. Red is where sprayer's off. You can see the restricted areas on the map, and you'll get a audible tone when you're approaching those. And then there's a status bar down at the bottom. And Chad's going to show this all more than in depth. But in just a basic overview here, so we are compatible now with the Azelis controllers, as Emily already explained. We are also compatible with other brands of sprayers, so that if you have a mixed fleet, we can probably accommodate those as well. If you have sprayers that don't have data output on them, there's a feature in the software where you can draw the polygon in on the map, and a form will pop up, and you can enter information about that treatment, and it becomes part of the data set. There's ways to customize the restricted area warnings for the field tech. We have different ways that data can be synchronized with the office, whether that's through Wi-Fi, an external USB drive, or Google Drive or Dropbox. We also have optional cloud hosting of the field seeker data. So if you don't have IT staff to help get this set up on your PC, or maybe your IT staff is busy, we can host it on our cloud system and help out with this. There's also spray session reporting with or without a map. We do support metric units. We do have a predefined spray route feature where you can show a driver where to start and stop the route, which direction to drive it, and when to turn the sprayer on and off. We can integrate the service requests with Field Seeker Core, so you can see service requests on the map when you're using Field Seeker ULV. We can also do a Esri feature service push, which allows the polygon of the truck spray data to be visible in Field Seeker Core, so you can see that along with your other operational data. We have restricted or proposed treatment areas that can be synced with ArcGIS Online. And then also supervisors can assign a spray route or proposed treatment areas to drivers. And we do have the optional weather sensor that can be mounted on the truck bed, and that data integrated with Field Seeker. So just a little bit about the tablets. So the Mesa 3 is a Windows 10 tablet. We probably have over 1,500 of these out in the field now with different mosquito control districts. They're very reliable. It is a 7-inch display and weighs 1.2 pounds. Juniper Systems released the Mesa Pro this spring. We're just now delivering a few to some clients. So, we're expected them to be just as reliable as past Juniper products has been, but we don't have too much experience with them yet, but we're looking forward to that experience. It has a 10-inch display and weighs 3 pounds. Juniper Systems is based in Logan, Utah, so if we do have to have any repair done, it's based here in the US, and it does come, their products do come with a 2-year warranty. Just a little bit more about the optional weather sensor. It does mount on the truck bed. There's a cable that comes up and plugs into the USB port of the Mesa tablet. And then it's just going to pin the wind speed, direction, temperature, barometric pressure, and relative humidity to the position of the truck spray and all the truck spray information that's getting recorded. I just wanted to say we do have a sister product to our Field Seeker Mosquito Core product. For this one is for invasive plant control. So just keep that in mind if you have dual roles. And then also our company is heavily invested in the drone technologies, and we have been supplying drones for drone inspections, applying liquid and granule pesticide treatments, and also high resolution mapping and LiDAR applications. So with that, I can turn the time over to Chad.
Awesome, thanks Linda. I'll get my screen shared here. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, I am excited as well. It's been really fun to work with Emily and with the Azelis staff, and I'm excited about some of these new functionalities. Our audience today includes a mix of people who already are using our Field Seeker ULV products and are just interested in this new support for the Azelis portfolio. And then it includes a lot of folks who are joining one of our webinars probably for the first time and probably have not seen the software at all. So I'm going to start with a couple of the specific things for the Azelis support, and then I'll give a little bit of an overview of some of the basic functionality of the ULV software, just give you a little bit of a feel for how it looks, how it behaves, and what the drivers and supervisors are going to see. So first off, if you're already using Field Seeker, when you get this new version of Field Seeker, the Azelis support is not enabled unless you enable it. So you're not going to see any change if you're using a mixed fleet of other brands of sprayers. It's just going to be the same thing you're used to. However, if you want to enable the Azelis support, or if you're installing it for that purpose, then it's really just, we go into configuration. On the advanced tab, we have Azelis support. We turn on Azelis support, and we can set a default drive letter if you're using the Monitor 4S or Monitor 5 and using the SD cards or USB drives, then that's just going to be the default drive that it looks for data or exports mission parameters. So once we enable that, then in our data operations area on our data tab, these are the new options that are enabled for Azelis support. So we have our Azelis monitor mission configuration, and this is what allows us to replicate the functionality that's currently in GeoTracker Pro or in a standalone Azelis configuration utility. So if we plug in our SD card or USB drive from the monitor and read the information from it, then this is where we set up the details for the sprayer, the technician details and their permissions, their PIN numbers, also the product details for application rates, and then for vehicles, also those low and high ranges for when the sprayer turns on and off, and when it will alarm. We also set the time zone setting. When everything looks correct, then we export the mission. So that just follows the same kind of workflow that you're already used to in GeoTracker Pro or in that configuration utility. The other functionality that's here is the ability to import the Azelis monitor data. So after the mission has been collected on the trucks and you're bringing in the SD card or USB drive, then you merely click that. It's going to look for any data on the card and move that data over and archive it locally and then process it into the database. Once it's in the database, it's really just going to look like any other mission. So if I grab an example mission here, I have a driver, Nick Cummins, that had some spray sessions, and I'll zoom to one of those spray sessions. So there's what the spray session looks like in Field Seeker. If I just get zoomed in on a neighborhood, we have green where the sprayer was on and red where it was off, shows the direction and you can grab the identify tool, click on any of these points and see exactly when it was done, how fast they were driving, the flow rate, if the sprayer was on, and all of those details. I'll cover more of the specifics of some of these basic functionalities in a couple of minutes, but I do want to show one other thing with regards to the Azelis support, and that is if you're going to be using the Mesa tablet and connecting directly up to the Monitor 4S, AccuFlow, or Monitor Flex with the cable, then all that's required in FieldSeeker is just to go in and configure a sprayer, and that sprayer is going to have a sprayer name, maybe your equipment number, and then just the fogger type has to be set to that Azelis AccuFlow 4 Monitor 4S. Set the calibration value that you've calibrated the unit to, and now that sprayer is available to connect directly to in the field and get the moving map display. So that's all that would be required for setup. And then in the field, the driver is going to see the work in progress, and we'll show that in a minute as well. So those are the three things we've added into FieldSeeker currently is the configuration utility to create the mission parameters and export them, the import mission for the Monitor 4S and Monitor 5, and then also the direct connection to the Monitor 4S, AccuFlow 4, or Monitor Flex. So if you have questions about your specifics in your specific situation, please, by all means, put them in the questions panel, but also know that Emily and Linda and I are working together. Emily's been following up with individuals and also your Azelis sales person as well. So she can speak a little bit more to that in response to some of the questions that may come in. But if there are, unique circumstances in your situation, then we'll do our best to accommodate all of those things. Let me switch gears a tad and just talk a little bit about the basic functionality of the program next. So I think in the midst of talking about all the new cool bells and whistles, sometimes the basic message can get lost that we're really just talking about a tracking and reporting system at its most basic. And that's necessary not only for regulatory compliance, but also it's a good tool for interacting with the public and the kinds of questions or complaints they may have. It gives you that defensibility and the ability to look up something that happened and have proof that you were where you were. So just as an example, someone calls in and they say that you skipped their house, or they had called in a no spray and they thought that somebody drove by and they did spray it. So we can search for an address. And if I can type correctly. Okay, zoom to a location on the map. And then I'm going to turn the filter off that I had set for this one driver. I can select a certain date range here and it'll list all the different spray sessions out. Or if I know who is generally assigned to that area, then I could check the box for that technician name. I know that this was in Jacksonville, so I'm going to set the filter there for Jacksonville. Here's a few spray sessions if I turn those on. So there was a spray session that was done on March 23rd, and I can see as they drove by this customer's house that the sprayer was off. So I can get the proof here of who was there and exactly when, how fast they were driving, and all of that. It's also possible for me to just do a quick print of this if I wanted to send it to the person in an email. I can print this map and give it a title. So, this is a roof street treatment on 323. Go ahead and print it, and it'll just create a little report with that map that you can then save out or export to, a Word document or a PDF file or whatever. That's a quick print. You can also do an actual report for your own use or for sharing with another stakeholder. So, let me go into reports. And I'll get this spray session detail report, include the map, and just use the session I have selected out here. That'll include that same map view, but then on the next page, it includes all the details for that spray session. So the chemical name, the registration number, the details of when it was done, how fast they drove on average, the mileage, the total area treated, total chemical used, and then weather information if that was entered as well. That spray session detail report is obviously quite handy for just internal documentation, but it's also very easy to generate a total for a month or a year. So if I go back into reports and look at the spray session summary report, I can use filter for a whole year, or if I just leave the date range out, it's going to do all of the data in my database. And as you can see, it generates that pretty quickly. I don't have a million spray sessions, but it still processes lots of data pretty fast. You're going to end up with a breakdown by zone and chemical of the total number of applications, total amount of product used, and total acres treated. So it's very easy to generate that information at the end of the month or at the end of the year, as opposed to totaling everything up from spreadsheets or sprayer logs or whatever other method you have to use. Another thing I wanted to show on the spray map itself. So we're looking at it with this base map of just imagery, and this is just using Bing Hybrid. Our base map choices here in the Office application are those few choices of Bing, or there's an Esri World Topo. That's in there because sometimes it's more up to date than the imagery might be as far as showing new subdivisions. OpenStreetMap is also another one that will show building outlines and could be more up to date. It'll also show building outlines and address numbers on the houses, depending on the locality. So you can pick the different base maps. We can also just turn on a layer for the buffered treatment areas. And so that's not actually showing for that one, is it? No, it does show the line. Okay. So I think you can see that. It also shows the green line for where the sprayer drove. And then the treatment areas one will normally show the 300-foot swath width. So I'm not sure why it's not showing on that example. Those ones can be included in the map. So whatever you have the map appearing as when you do the print report and include the map, it'll use what you've got selected. So let me go back to that spray session report, include the map, just use that one. And then it'll generate accordingly. So we try to make it easy to get the reports out of the system as well for your own documentation purposes. And then also, if you need to export data so you can share the actual spray record with another department, then you can do that as well. So there's the way the report looks with that turned on. And then of course the details are there too. The ability to export the data is implemented just right here. We have the ability to export that as a KML or a shapefile. So that way someone could look at that spray information even if they don't have the ULV program. They could look at it in Google Earth or open up the shapefile in some other mapping program. One additional thing that's nice just for that accountability part, if I turn the treatment log points back on, turn the lines off, is we can right click on this and also replay it. So you can see where the driver drove throughout the spray session. And that can be helpful too, even internally for training. If you're trying to train a new driver to follow a route a certain way, you can replay that with them. And if there's something that they need to explain to the supervisor about something that's changed in the area or something that the supervisor needs to train them on how to do, then there's that way to talk about it. Along those same lines, if you have an area that needs to be run a particular way, someone takes them out and trains them and they want that to always be the way it's run, you can right click on this spray session and export or turn it into a route. So I could just create a spray route and I could say, this is the Del Rio route. and then that gets saved and it's available in the future to select as a route to run, and it'll show that on the map in the field as well. One thing to be clear about on routes is it's not required. Out of all of our customers, maybe a third or so use it. It doesn't require that you drive the area a particular way. It's just there as a visual on-screen orientation to kind of help you get your bearings and try not to miss an area. So it's meant to be a help to the driver, certainly not meant to replace what the driver's decisions might be in the field based on what they're finding while they're out there. So for now, that's all I'm going to talk about with the routes. That's one of the advanced functionalities that, like I said, it's not required. What I do want to talk a little bit about, though, is that this data could also be pushed to Esri. And I mention that because the treatment info that's in here, sometimes people want to show something on a web map that's either shared with the public or just shared with other parts of operations. So some of our customers that have the Field Seeker core as well as ULB, it's a way to share where the truck spraying happened with the daytime larviciding crew, for example, or with the people who are answering service requests in the office. So if we have that option configured, and there are these Esri configurations, if you're using ArcGIS Online or the other part of Field Seeker, you can synchronize these different things. You set up the configuration of it, and then in this case, I have the option when I right-click on this or rather, I don't have to right-click, it's right up here, push to Esri. So that'll push it out to ArcGIS Online, and then I can use it in other maps. So I just mentioned that because there are a few different ways that we can integrate this with other existing mapping data. For example, if you come in to using ULB and you already have your zones or your routes defined, then we can just import that data into the system so you don't have to create it from scratch. I do want to zoom to an area here by my office and just take a look at the restricted areas that are here. These restricted areas can be imported from a shapefile or pulled from ArcGIS Online, or you can just draw them in here in the office. So if it's a new request from a customer or it's a beekeeper or whatever, you can put in the details of name, contact information, address, what kind of restriction it is, and even a specific warning that the technician will see. So you can manage your nose sprays and other restrictions like call aheads and gate codes and access restrictions right here in the program. We even have a report so that you can look at all of the restricted areas that are in the system, when you last had contact with them, and so on, so that you can keep that cleaned up. Now, before we kind of wrap up the software demo part itself, I do want to show you what the driver themselves would see in the field. So for this, because I'm inside and stationary, I'm just going to have this video kind of playing in the background and talk to it a little bit. And so here in the mobile software that goes on the tablet, they would start a spray session, and as they start to work with this, it's going to show the sprayer status, the speed, direction, and flow rate. When the sprayer kicks on, then it's going to turn green. The flow rate's constantly updating, and they're going to start seeing their spray session in progress. So we see the green dots dropping where the spraying is happening. And as they turn the sprayer on and off, then that'll just alternate between green and red. So at the first blush, it's easy for a driver to tell where they've driven and what they've sprayed. It's pretty easy, thereby to tell if an area was skipped, and then you can go back and hit it. A couple other things it'll show as we have it continue driving here is when we get near a no spray, this is the kind of thing we would see. So this is saying no spray. It's also going to be making an audible alarm that's pretty hard to miss if the volume's turned up at least. And then if there's a specific message about this particular area, it can also have that information there. As they continue to drive, If there's other types of warnings, like this one is not a no spray, it's just a informational warning. In this case, it's a do not enter. And so it pops up with a slightly different color and a slightly different sound. You can have different sounds for different types. And then if we continue on, you can see that it's auto rotating. The other thing you see in this case is that it's also showing the 300-foot buffer. That's turned off by default, but it is something that you can enable on the mobile side. That's here in the map layers. If we turn on that treatment area, it'll show that buffer. One last thing I'll mention that the driver can do when they're in the field is there's an event button. So let me get to that. That's the last thing here. So if the driver comes across something weird in the field, someone tells them to stay off their property, or there's a road is out, or whatever it is that they want to relate to the supervisor, there's just an event button. They can tap that and it can record a GPS location on the map, and it's just some basic comments, and that's it. So then that'll show up later when the supervisor's looking at it on the office side, and then they'll know exactly where that thing was, whatever it was. So again, main point is just tracking, no spray warnings, but it has a couple of these other features on the mobile side as well.